board meeting to order October 21st, 2024. Verification of meeting posted. This meeting was posted in accordance with all open meeting laws. Attendance roll call.
Tracy.
Here.
Brett.
Here.
Bob.
Still here.
Gary.
Yep.
Jason. Here. Lori.
Yes.
Kevin.
Here.
All right, we are all present. We have a quorum. We are going to skip the Pledge of Allegiance since we already had the national anthem this evening. And I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to the consent agenda, motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Anybody want any items removed for individual consideration? Once. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. And we have student representation.
Okay, so this week I highlighted on some sports first. So the cross-country team competed at Muskego for the conference meet and had an outstanding performance. Ella Anschutz won the conference for the second year in a row. Parker Fons was named second team all-conference, and over 31 personal bests and 40 season bests were ran. The JV team competes in Menominee Falls this Thursday, and the varsity team competes this Saturday at Lake Danoon for the chance to go to state. In addition to this, the football team competed against Waukesha West last Friday and won 50-21. The team got number 4 seed for playoff and will play Oak Creek this Friday at home. The boys soccer team is also getting ready for playoffs with their first game tomorrow against Milwaukee Riverside at 5 p.m. at Muskego High School. And in honor of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, this week is Think Pink Week, and Student Council is selling pink shirts and crew necks at lunch, and all athletic events during this week are Think Pink themed. This Saturday, Student Council is hosting its annual Spooktacular event for the community. This is from 11 to 1, and families can come and play Halloween-themed games, walk through a haunted house, and do arts and crafts. At the middle school, both middle school girls basketball teams have tournaments this week. Muskego Lakes is on Tuesday from 3 p.m. to 9 p.m., and Lake Danoon is on Wednesday from 3:30 to 8:30. At Lake Danoon, the National Junior Honor Society is getting ready for its annual Battle of the Bills and making blankets. All benefits are for Children's Hospital and the MAC Fund. At Bay Lane, the annual Boo Bash is this Wednesday from 5:30 to 7 p.m. This is a fun way for kids to engage with their classmates and enjoy the Halloween season. And lastly, at Mill Valley, the PTO is sponsoring Trunk or Treat for the kids on October 31st from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. This is an amazing opportunity for kids to trick or treat who may not have access to neighborhoods to trick or treat in.
Thank you. Sorry for the late night.
No, you're good.
All right. You feel free to head out if you don't need to stay here. It's a long night. So moving on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Terry. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Andy Bavlinka, the high school principal, who has promised that this presentation will be 3 minutes or less. So,
Uh-oh.
oh no.
Randy.
It's quite the spacing you guys have way back there.
Team support. It's really
So they don't know
impressive.
who's heckling. They don't want me to be able to identify. They're behind a pillar. So thanks for having me, and thanks for coming. And hopefully the dinner was good. The students were really excited. They got in real early and were working on it. It was pretty cool to do that. I want to start with a quick comment. I was thinking back to when I signed the contract to be the principal. I now better understand the phrase "don't screw it up" that was on there based on your story. Yeah, so we're going to get started because we don't have enough time for more jokes. So I want to do a quick overview. I want to talk a little bit about closing out the eye on the goal from 23-24, and then mostly I want to focus on next steps. I'm not somebody who lives in what we've done. I definitely am somebody who likes to live in what we're going to do next. And some review of where we ended last year. Superintendent Irvine kind of alluded to this earlier. You saw a little bit of thunder, but I want to go a little bit deeper. We ended up being the top school in Waukesha County for the overall composite ACT. You heard him say that. I want to highlight a trend. If you look across that top line, you can see we were 6th, we were 7th, we were 7th, we were 5th, we were 3rd, we were 3rd, we were 1st. What I'm a big believer in is like you can have outliers, but what you want to see is a trend. And I think when you have a trend like that, it highlights that we're making consistent progress. And I want to note that progress. The 22.9 is the highest in Waukesha County, and there are some great schools that have been redacted there. However, if you look at the county average since 1819, you can see the county average is actually going down. So we're bucking the trend, if that makes sense. I would also highlight that among some of the best school districts in the state, the who's who of people being called to find out how to improve your school, I believe only 3 of them since 1819 have gone up. All of the rest of them have trended downward. So I want to highlight that. I think Superintendent Irvine, you have been a big part of that work in the high school. I want to highlight the associate principals, but mostly I want to highlight the work that the teachers are doing. We'll talk more about that as we go, but the teachers are the driving engine of this ship. So, when we dig a little deeper into the component areas, math is for the 2nd year in a row, the #1 in Waukesha County, and actually it's gone up. And again, that's really impressive. And when you look at the county average, you can see the county average in 1920 was 22.3, and it's gone down to 21.7. Meanwhile, ours has gone from 22 to 23.6. That trend line in opposite directions is a pretty telling story. And I would also add, you can see with the number of students that are advanced in math, you're seeing a pretty consistent trend going up. The data from 23-24 is a little different because they changed the cut scores, so you can't do a complete apples to apples comparison. But what you can see is that we grew more than most of the districts in the percentage of students that are in that advanced band from 22-23 to 23-24. Did that make sense? We'll talk more about the students so this is one of the PLC questions. What do you do, number 4? What do you do when students already get it, right? We're doing it. We're going to talk also about question number 3. What do you do when students haven't gotten it yet as we go forward too? But math is really crushing. And again, I would highlight that this is K-12. You don't get to this point without really great elementary schools, really great middle schools, and great teachers. And I would say vertical collaboration is a big piece of that too. We have levels that talk well. We talk between the middle to the elementary. We talk between the high school and the middle schools too. Take a breath, sorry. ELA. So ELA on the ACT, we were 4th overall, and I would highlight this as progress, but this is where I'm highlighting some of the work we need to do, right? We talk about what are next steps. ELA is definitely a next step for us. We have good results, but we don't have results that mirror what we're seeing in mathematics, and we own that. We're doing work this year to take those steps. But again, you can see some progress. We are chiseling our way upward, and again, when you compare where we are, which isn't up a ton, it's kind of flat, but you can see that the county has been very similar too, so we want to kind of break that trend. We'll talk more about that as we go. This is the reading component of the ELA score. This is English. We're 2nd in the county. And again, nice trend here, a little bit going upward. You can see the county average over the past few years has gone down. We've been able to either stay the same or go up. We were 2nd. And we were 2nd in writing. So that's our ELA score, and we've identified internally an ELA as a place where we're going to make some focus. Excuse me. Science. How cool is that? #1 in science too. That gets me geeked out. I geek out a lot, you know that. But it's really cool to see that trend as well. And again, some progress being made in that advanced score there as well, which is exciting. And you can see the county average from 1920 was 22.5. It's gone down. We've gone up.
From 1920?
From 2000.
Years 1920.
Correct. Yep. No, it's okay because I'm talking fast. It's good to dig in on that for sure. And not every table is identical just because of the way I snipped them. But you can see that the county has gone the wrong direction, and we've been able to go the right direction, which has precipitated us going up. So it's exciting. Our science teachers are rocking it. The third question of the PLC questions that we talked about at the COW, the third question is, what are you doing for students who haven't gotten it yet? We're #1 in the county with students that have been identified with a disability. Many of these students fall within our bottom quartile or target group. work that those teachers are doing, both with the students individually to serve their IEP goals, but also we pair our special education teachers with our core teams. So when English 9 is working, they're working directly with a special education teacher so that they're differentiating instruction, which we know is good for all kids. And I think that you're seeing that same benefit in our bottom quartile. A really smart person was riding with me out to a football game at Waukesha West, and we were talking about these numbers, and I was kind of spitballing. And this really smart person, it's Mr. Michaud, if you know him. Please don't tell him that I said that, but he's really smart. But don't feed into it. But he was asking great questions, and one of them was, did our ACT go up just because of the kids that were in advanced? He's an AP teacher, so that was his first thought. And I said, yes, and. Because it's going up because both ends are going up. And that's really the sign of a really healthy system when you see kids going up on both bandwidths. That's pretty exciting. I did not snip it here just because I did not want this to be an hour-long brag about the high school. But our students that are low SES, so the economically disadvantaged group, I think we're third or fourth in the county. So pretty consistent there too. And that group disproportionately makes up our bottom quartile. I'm gonna swap here. All right, so this goal is elusive. We're going to get it this year. Okay, this is the goal where we want our students to be proficient in all 4 component areas of the ACT. We've been chasing 40% since I've gotten here. I think we've been as low as 33 or 34 and as high as 39. We're keeping it at 40. We're going to get there. And I think this is a really healthy goal. It's a hard one to reach. And the reason it's important is because it shows that we're getting to the point where our students are successful in any area in a school. And I think that is why it's been hard, because we have kids that just miss in math. They hit it in science, reading, and English. We have the percentage of students that are in 3 areas is much higher than it is in 4. But we're going to get this one. This is the year. We're going to hit 41%. And then I'm gonna learn how to cook Wagyu steak at my house. My wife is going to be very excited. I'll probably burn it, though. It'll be bad. All right, so what's leading to our success? You've seen this slide. You can tell that I didn't make it because it's pretty. But this slide is the one we shared at the cow. When we were talking about the various elements of it, I mentioned that was my favorite image of the PLC dating back to 1996. I believe strongly that the PLC work that we've been building on for years is the real strong driver. In fact, I would say quite candidly, we have teams that still have a lot of work to do. They're starting in the process, they take steps forward, new team member comes in, they back up. The PLC process never really ends, because even when you fully have identified what you want students to know, that changes because the kids coming in change. And if your system's continuously improving, you always have to be going back to question 1 to get to question 2, 3, 4. So this work, I believe, is what's leading to our success system-wide. I know you probably remember Jeff talking about this for years, but it is really, really important, and it leads us into some pretty specific things we're doing this year, which we talked about at the cow. Digging a little bit deeper into our next steps. These are 2 photos, and you can always tell when they're my photos because they look really weird. I don't know, I miss whatever is happening in the room, and then I have to explain it later. But these are 2 photos from our last PD day. This was our staff learning about some data tools to get better at using instantaneous data with the students to be able to have collaborative conversations. This was the staff learning how to better use GradeCam, which is a tool that we have that can literally scan quizzes from a phone, and then it takes all of the data together and pulls it into spreadsheets. And if we were all on the same team, we can pull it together in minutes. And we can tag specific questions to specific standards. So we can identify a lot of learning through there. And then it leads into those really great PLC questions. What did you do? What did you do? How come you had a better result on that question? You've been beating me the last couple of quizzes. I want to figure it out. And I think it leads into some really, really natural questions. Also leads into questions too, like if everybody is getting a question wrong, why? It leads into that root cause analysis. So that data tool is really important because it gives us the ability to do that faster. And then the faster and more efficiently teachers can do things, then they can focus on how are we going to teach it? How are we going to reteach it? The other piece that we did at the last PD day, and we've done it multiple times through the year on our PD days, is we have a building-wide commitment to a culture of literacy. Every teacher in this building, and that's powerful when you think about 100 staff members have taken a professional goal this year, a PPG, aligned to something related to cultural literacy. Whether it's adding more writing into a tech ed class, whether it's adding listening to podcasts into a political class, whether it's writing a reflection in a music class, writing an evaluation in a math class. Teachers are working that across the board. It isn't perfect yet. It's a step forward. But the last meeting we had this week for the PD day, last week for the PD day, it was really powerful hearing the one on the left was all of our Encore elective teachers talking about all the stuff happening in their classrooms, which are not literacy classrooms traditionally, but they're great stuff that was happening in there. The one on the right is a table full of math teachers talking about what they're doing in literacy. And we know our students all have to be able to read, write, listen, and speak to be successful. Another big aspect of what we're doing at the high school is the work with co-curriculars and student engagement and student culture in general. We don't have a survey question to really draw data on for our goals. It's going to be a baseline year. We're rewriting our survey questions this year, but we know based on previous years that particular question has pinged low across our building, and it's the question of students show respect for each other, and we're continuing to work on it. We've taken a number of steps, including meeting with principal's cabinet this last week to talk through some options on that, and I think we're going to see some success. Been working with Mr. McMillan, and we have already had a career fair, co-curricular fair to start the year, and we're trying to get an increased number of students into all of our co-curriculars. So that's really exciting too. Fast facts, we'll go through them fast. This is the work that we do with Connect Academy. It's really the work we do to get our students community and college ready, or community and career ready. We have 213 students this past year who are in paid positions. Average wage was $13.25. If you pull certain career fields, Mr. McMillan would say you're probably seeing earnings higher, like 17, 18, depending on the career field. Total pay reported to date, which includes the summer pay, was $1.23 million to our students, which is crazy. And that number, $8.7 million, is the estimated economic impact on our community as a whole, based on how economists calculate that. That's pretty cool. Not only are students learning great skills, right? I think learning to work is one of our most important skills for our students. They're also earning money, which helps them save for college, helps them understand personal finance, but it's also bettering our community and supporting local business. Pretty outstanding. Mr. McMillan surveys our employers every year to see what are the highest rated qualities of our students. And then you can see on the right-hand side, 2024, the 5 strongest traits they've seen in our students are attitude towards coworkers, dependability and honesty, adaptability, punctuality, and self-confidence. And those are those what used to be called soft skills. You know, back when I was young, when I had that old PLC graphic. But those are those skills that employers need and we need. When we walk into a grocery store, we expect the clerk to have them. When we're interviewing people for positions and teaching positions, we need those skills. So it's great to see that our kids have them. What makes MHS special? I think student engagement is one thing that comes to mind. I think that the way we're able to have students come together and support a common cause, I think is incredible. I highlighted our student section, but I want to say that if I could do a shot across the field on any given day, what you would see is the band, you would see the cheer, the POMs, and our student section. You'd see probably on any given day something like 1,000 of our students at a football game coming together, supporting each other, and I think that is really magical. I think that what leads to that is student leaders. This is a group of students that organized homecoming, and that same group of student leaders that helped organize StuCo throughout the year, they helped to organize the freshman orientation event. All of those sorts of things make our kids feel a part of something special, and that is one of the things that makes us special. It is not that costume I'm wearing.
I'm wearing a costume.
Shh. Sorry, the mic's on. No, yeah, the costume is for sale if anybody wants it. I believe some other stuff that makes MHS special, and this is the stuff beyond the numbers, right? Like, we can get lost in the numbers. We're doing amazing with numbers, but I would say next year if we end up second in the county, these are things that we're still doing that are amazing, right? This is a picture from our last choir event of our tech team. And one of the things that really got me kind of excited there was watching the older students mentor the newer students, because there are a lot of freshmen and some of the freshmen are extra freshman-y, and you know what I mean. But how cool is that there's a generational thing happening, right? There's a passing of the torch. That's what we're all about. Our students pride themselves in leaving the school better than they got it. I think that's really neat. The picture on the bottom left there, let me see, left side, yeah. That bottom side was a group of girls from the flag football event that went up to Lambeau Field and got to go on the field 2 Sundays ago. That group of girls got to go onto the field in front of over 80,000 people. I think that's incredible. One of the things that I think makes our district special is that we don't say no often. We find ways to say yes, and I think that's pretty amazing. Thank you, Mr. McMillan, for organizing that. He has also started a Classic 8 flag football league for these girls, and they're doing it on Sundays. Really cool. Kind of pioneering some stuff there. Top right-hand corner, that is our new courtyard. And when we talk about taking things from design and idea into practice, to see kids outside working on skills, whether it's carpentry, eventually it's going to be masonry, is really powerful. They're making use of that space in really great ways, and it's not a parking lot. You know, if you remember the old space where they had to work, it was kind of messy. It was in a parking lot. It wasn't really suitable. This is great. One of my favorite things about it is all the way around the cube, there are windows around all of those classes. All those kids are seeing the great things that our kids are doing out there. It's really awesome. Bottom right-hand picture, this was an event that was conceived by a history teacher. They were learning about Native Americans on the plains, I believe, and they were teaching about lacrosse in the class, and she has some students in there that have some higher significant needs. So she reached out to the lacrosse coaches and lacrosse team, and they took those students into our new practice facility, and they learned about lacrosse. And I said this at a staff meeting, but this is the best of us. This is the best of Muskego High School right here. You have our amazing students literally missing class, and some of the students had missed their lunch to come out and teach other students about lacrosse. You have multiple teachers there that gave up their lunch or their prep to come be a part of this. It was really awesome. And it was one of my highlights of the year to see the kids so excited to be just learning, running around, the dog napping, thankfully not using the bathroom on our new turf. But it was really a neat event. It gets me kind of emotional thinking about it. I'm amazing at taking pictures. That's a picture of our choir. You should take my word for it. That is a pretty cool event there. To see both our band and our choir, the turnout that our community brings forward. You talk 600, 700, 800 people in those events. It's pretty awesome. That picture is in one of our new labs. That student actually was I think the only one who saw me taking the picture, so he kind of posed for me. It was kind of funny. That particular day they were doing a lesson where they were learning about electricity, and they were working on circuitry. Just one of the many things they're doing in those new spaces. Kind of a cool update there. That is a picture with most of the girls who were at the robotics competition 2 Saturdays ago. The twist competition, which was for girls only in robotics. Our crew is in the finals that day, and are actually just were awarded an award. They're going to be recognized next week by a group downtown Milwaukee. Amazing event. If you haven't been to a robotics event, I mean this for all of you. Pretty cool. I've not seen. It was pretty remarkable to see how excited those kids were. I did not know what to expect. And it was like 10 hours of just complete Mountain Dew and like sugar. And it was pretty cool. This picture over here on the right is what I've called the cleanup crew. This is our students after away football games. They clean up after themselves. They know there's a picture coming usually too. This was after Oak Creek. I put this in here because we play Oak Creek again. You see what I did? We won that day and we cleaned up after ourselves and we cleaned up on the field. We're gonna get them again. But I think this is another example of our students really being conscious of how we're being perceived, like region-wide, right? Like we want to be the best at everything we do, including how we care for other schools. I could go on here. This is actually, I think the previous picture was a band. I couldn't tell because it was so poorly taken. I did better with this one though. This was our choir concert from last week Wednesday. This is the final song of the concert when everybody comes together on the stage. I love when you see all of the choirs on the stage because the freshmen are so what's the word? They're just a little meek. But when they come together with the seniors, they look up to them so much that I just love that energy. And they really start to shine. It's cool. Bottom left-hand side there, that's our soccer team. They brought treats to thank our grounds crew for taking care of their fields. The grounds crew did not know that was happening. I thought that was really a cool moment. And then you see, picked one picture. There's a lot of senior nights in the fall, very emotional nights. Our families come together on the court, on the field, on the pitch, and they get to walk on and off really one last time with their son or daughter. This was senior night at the girls volleyball game. They battled back. They were not playing well early on, but they battled back. The crowd had a great time cheering them on. So that's really exciting. Top corner there, you can see another thing that makes us great. We have amazing science teachers. We were talking earlier, they're #1 in the county. This is a young man doing a science lab that I don't understand. I'm not sciencey enough. One of my favorite things about MHS, another thing that makes us special, is I think we celebrate little things. Every Friday, we either have a choral performance or a band performance of some kind doing the national anthem to start the day. You know, we do the pledge Monday through Thursday, but we finish the week with the national anthem. I think it's really cool. We had a young man do a solo 2 weeks ago, sophomore kid, just this deep, deep bass voice. It was really cool. All across the school, people were like, wow. I think this might be the last picture. No, that was a teaser. I have 2 more. So this was a volleyball event. Our 2 volleyball teams came together to raise toys for Children's Hospital. This is another example of what makes our school great. It's about the event. It's clearly about the sport, but there's more that we can do with that platform of sport to make our community a better place. And all of these toys were donated to Children's Hospital. It's pretty cool. And the last one. So, Mr. Irvine, those of you who've heard me tell this story, I apologize. I make it teary-eyed. I'm usually not teary-eyed, but this story for some reason gets to me. So this is the graduating class of 1974. Okay. There's a good number of us in the room that weren't born yet. I can say that barely. They came in, they rocked it on Friday night. They went out to Clifford's. I was told they had a really, really great time. That they came in the next day. A couple of them were a little late. They were at Clifford's. You know how that goes. And they did, I'm not exaggerating, probably a 2.5 to 3 hour tour of the school. There was a gentleman who his grandson stayed with him for 2.5 hours carrying a chair because his grandpa wanted to walk the tour. And they left the wheelchair at the front, and this man's like, I will walk my school. So the chair would go and he would sit down. The chair would go and he would sit down. But it was really neat because they shared all of what Muskego meant to them, and their walk away was, I can't believe what it's become too. Like, they're super proud of what was, but also really proud of what it is today. And really incredible. I'm not an emotional person. I really am very logic first. But as I was standing there were a line of people hugging me because of how much they loved what Muskego is and what it's meant to them. That's what makes us special, right? We made a mark on those people before I was even born, but so much so that they can see what our kids are going to get with those opportunities now in the school. So it was pretty cool. I definitely heard some names of teachers I've never heard of as well throughout that tour. Any questions?
Do any of them live in Muskego?
A couple of them did, for sure. A lot of third generation Muskego. A lot of grandparent met wife in high school just after. Kids went to school here. Grandkids are coming. There's just a lot of community legacy. I don't know if Mr. Pitfalski's here. When I got hired as an AP, he told me we were the largest small town in the state. I remember him saying that. I didn't totally get it at the time. Over time, I've gotten more of it. This is when I get it. It's a real small town that just happens to be a little bigger. So, any questions?
Alice, so I was going through the Eye on the Goal dashboard, and I noticed there's a couple of goals that we just missed. So as you reevaluate the goals for the next year, are you actually going to try and stretch your legs a little bit and maybe shoot for a 1/10 or 0.2% higher on those, or are you going to maintain the same goal and just try to get that?
The beauty of most of the goals is that if your goal was from 1 year to go to 21 to 22, you can go up another point. So if we went up, I would set the goal from where we went up to and continue the journey, if that makes sense. The goal isn't to get to 22 anymore. The goal is now to get to, right? I want to get ELA. We were at 22.3 for reading. I want to get to 23.3. And that's the goal is how do we continue? And really, it isn't about the number. I mean, it is, right? But it's more about how do we get our kids better at those skills that number represents. How do we make sure that our kids are more confident readers so when they leave to go to college, or they get a technical manual at a job, or they get a series of directions from their boss, that they're able to really understand that, synthesize it, and communicate what their next step is. The reading score is just a reflection of that. So yes, I believe the goals should continue to go up.
No, but I mean, if you fall short,
Yeah.
you shoot just by that little bit, by that 10.
Yep. So
you
if
shoot a little bit higher than what you were the year
I would
before?
keep, like in general, my mindset would be if we were at 21.9 and we were trying to get to 22, I would try to go from there up the same increment. Like I'm trying to continue to keep the goal rigorous. The goal would not be 1/10 then. Does that make sense? If I understand your question, I think.
Well, I mean, if you fall short.
Yeah.
So you're shooting for 22, you come up with 21.9.
Yep.
You keep it at 22, or
No,
you're going to go for
we're gonna go to
22?
22.9. Yep.
Oh, no, I mean then for the next year.
Yep.
Or you're gonna want to shoot to 22.9.
Well, based on where we ended up. Yeah, I think you should continue to try to raise the bar. So
Okay.
I can go back, I'll show you like one of the goals. And I'll go back through these slides here. So this one, no, I lied. This one, the goal was 41, we ended up at 39, or 38, so we actually went down. I kept the goal at 41. The goal is the goal.
But if you'd have hit 40, would you
Let's
shoot
go
for
to 42.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. I think goals are both tangible, but they're also symbolic too. Like the goal is to always be striving to get better. So, I like the last picture better. So that's a good question. So, okay.
So I don't know that I've got the best way to phrase this question, but I just want to make sure that there isn't a concern, or if there is a concern, then let's chat about it. But, so, I guess behavior in schools, right? We've got a fantastic set of students, and we see these pictures here, right?
Yep.
We did not have a very good experience this year at homecoming, at the homecoming dance, right? Is that indicative of a trend, or is that an isolated incident, and
Yeah.
it's something we need to be concerned about?
Yeah, so we have to own that. That didn't go real well, right? I mean, I think, like full transparency, I was pretty frustrated after that with our students. It is something that I don't believe is indicative of what we see on a day-to-day basis. I think sometimes things happen and group mentality is tough to counter. I mean, once it's happening, it literally took me on the microphone addressing the room. We collected the rings and threw them out. But I think that, continuing to review expectations for events, like I'll use an example of like football games. We have a large audience there. We had a football game at an away game, and got some feedback that they weren't real happy that our students were cheering during their band performance. And our students were, I think, they were doing their freshman senior chant that they do. It had nothing to do with the band performance, but that was their perception. So I talked with Mr. McMillan about it, and he addressed it with his student leader group. And now it's happened the last two or maybe 3 road games since then, as our student section has actually sat at halftime during the other team's band performance, and it's been a much better experience. I think when we work with our students, I think they 99 times out of 100 are trying to do the right thing. They want to do the right thing. There are those individual incidences, you have to address individual student behavior. But I don't think it's indicative of it. I think we have some of the best behaved students in the state. You walk down our hallways, our students are polite to each other most of the time. They mostly clean up after themselves. And yeah.
Okay, awesome.
It's a hard to answer it because of the specificity of it, but it is definitely something that we're like going into our next dance. But we have to be. I think we also have to be mindful of the things we buy. Like it became a circus storm of things that happened. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I did, and just for the group's understanding too, I did follow up with the DJ after, and we've had multiple conversations. I've invited her back, and I think she wants to come back and work with our students in the future. At the end of the dance, there were a group of students who stayed to the end to thank her and apologize too. So.
Awesome, thanks.
I do think it's a challenge sometimes with some of these numbers because you are a reciprocal thing. Like you constantly are changing that grade at that level with those individual students. So I give kudos to you to try to keep it at the level where it's at because you are dealing with different groups of individuals and different things that you can't control.
And I thank you.
Yeah.
I will push that to the teacher teams. Our teachers do an amazing job adjusting to that every single fall when they do their baseline assessments, when they're looking at pre-ACTs, when they're setting their SLOs, because the kids do change year to year, hopefully always getting better, but there's always ebbs and flows, and they have to be able to determine where they are because they know where they want to get them. So I think, yeah, for sure, it's part of the art of teaching, and the joy of it is to figure that journey out every year.
I just want to say you're doing a fantastic job so far. I'm so glad that you are in that role. We miss you at the other role, but we already love Anita, so she's doing great.
Thank you.
So we really appreciate all your work at the high school, taking that over. And one thing that we promised as a board to ask at every single meeting that we had at a school is to ask what we as a board can do to help you reach your goals and to do your work. What do you need from us? What support can we provide you? And if you can't think of anything now,
Yeah.
you can send me to.
I mean, in terms of resources, I think we have everything we need. We have great line of communication with district office. We probably talk almost daily with somebody from the district office, so we have those resources. I think from the board, I love seeing you guys at events. I love seeing you interacting with teachers. They appreciate knowing that the board supports them. So anytime you have an opportunity to support the people that really drive our school, it really truly does make a difference. Versus being people at a table that they don't hear from. So that's not easy to do when you have 500 people in a school system, but they love seeing from you guys and hearing from you.
Thank you, Andy.
Huge thank you to you and to the team who is sat quietly in the back of the room. The results that we're seeing as a school system are reflective. I'll go back to the lucky versus leading. Leadership is a key factor, and it truly does stem from the district leadership team all the way throughout. Your time in the district office was immensely influential, and again, I share that pride and excitement that you've stepped in to lead our high school. Obviously, it's a place that's very special and near and dear to my heart. And the pride in these results, I know that they're going to continue to go up because the building's filled with wonderful people. The administrative team is second to none. The work of that crew back there who wants to stay out of the limelight. And Mr. McMillan, oh wait, that's Mr. Micklig over to the side. Thank you guys for your leadership as well and continuing to push the envelope to create opportunities for our students. So great work, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
And that concludes. That concludes the superintendent's report.
All right. So we are on to other reports. President report, I got nothing. Board member reports. I'll start over here. Tracy?
Yeah, I had Lori attach the CISA 1 list of events that they have out there. I would recommend just reading through the A to Z policy handbook, which has all of the different opportunities they have available. One of the things, and I don't know if we have anybody that's in it, but they have a leadership course that they're doing for new teachers that are in the special needs area. Do you know if we have any of our people that are in it? I don't know. Sure. Okay. I thought that was a great program. They're like doing mentorship and stuff to them, so might be something to look at.
Bless you.
Yeah, bless you. That's it.
Okay. Brett?
Nothing except we survived another annual meeting.
Yes, we did.
And I'm appreciative of the majority of the members of the community who support us and who said all the very kind things they did earlier.
Bob? Jason? Lori? Kevin?
Nope.
Okay, moving on to committee reports, Educational Services Committee report.
So we met today before the meeting, and we, as a committee, approved the 3 new proposed courses and the changes to the middle school and high school guidebooks with 1 potential amendment, and then we will be bringing those forward to the board for the November meeting for the board's approval.
Okay, Policy Committee report.
I believe we've met since this meeting.
Business Services Committee report.
We have not met, however, we may be adding an ad hoc meeting at the beginning of November.
Okay. on to resolution action items, the 24-25 budget.
Motion to approve the 2024-25 budget as presented.
So moved. Second.
Discussion.
There's attachments in board docs. I think the biggest one to look at would be the preliminary budget versus actual, to see the differences of where we approved a budget in September or August versus where we ended up. So these key factors, just looking at, we anticipated the $325 per student. Our overall revenue limit increased by about $250,000. And we'll look at that in just a minute as to why. Our October equalization aid estimate went down about $34,000 to actual. Our voucher per pupil amounts remain the same. However, the number of students that we anticipated increased. So again, the way that the choice voucher program works is that public schools levy for the students who are residents of the district, and then we pass the money through essentially to pay for the program. So it comes in as a revenue, it goes out as an expense. It's a net zero impact to us. If the voucher program didn't exist, we would not have that piece. However, it does impact levy. So because that amount went up about $242,000 for us, that's really where we're seeing the majority of that increase in revenue limit authority. The overall result of that is a tax levy increase in Fund 10 of about $284,000. And then we also had a very small prior year chargeback of $1,221, which again is if we get all of the taxes in. If somebody doesn't pay their taxes, we have to refund that amount to the city, and then we get to put it on our revenue limit the next year. So that's what that amount is. Our equalized valuation, overall we estimated a little bit lower to be on the safe side, to be on the conservative side, but it went up about $25 million more than anticipated. What that does help with is lowering the mill rate on the tax bill. The per pupil categorical aid remained the same at $742, but because we are losing students, we lost about $1,900 in that aid. And our final revenue and expense budget went up about $283,000 from the anticipated, again with a balanced budget. The super duper DPI budget adoption form that everybody likes to look at is also there for your reference, but that would be the form that, I have an error right now at board docs, I can't open it. But that's the form essentially that we then finalize the budget with and ensure that all of our funds equal what the board approved.
Any other questions, discussion?
Are we beyond the point of any changes with the macro environment, like other districts, things like that? We're good?
We are beyond that point, so right now we saw an increase of about $350,000 in aid as a result of what happened from the year before, because aid is a year back. And so last year's numbers affect this year's numbers. And so the impact to us this year is about $300,000. Any changes to that could happen, but we wouldn't see that till the end of the year. And it doesn't affect tax levy. We can't go backwards. It would simply adjust us for next year and the potential impact on tax levy. So we'll continue to monitor that throughout the year for next year.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to tax levy.
Motion to approve 2024-2025 tax levy as presented.
Second.
Discussion.
So the tax levy, the final tax levy is essentially what we saw in the PowerPoint in that like black chart. We are looking at a 2.52% increase. I did include the town of Norway. If you refresh the board docs, the town of Norway is below. So when we talk about overall, 2.52 for all of our municipalities, and our school levy credit has an impact on that to bring that down to about 1.94%. From there, when we look at net new construction for Muskego, it's at $597,000, which is about 80% of our stakeholders. So we're looking at about a 0.27% reduction in net impact on average to the average taxpayer. The school levy credit amount that I used is about 80% of the estimate, so it still could increase, thus reducing the tax levy even lower. That number, I don't believe is finalized until November, and again, that goes directly to the municipalities. So once we have that, I can always provide an update in business services. For the town of Norway, the net new construction number there was 0.28%. And so the overall impact could be about a 1.2% increase.
Any questions, discussion?
Yeah, can I just ask a clarifying question on?
Yes.
I think you answered this last year, but for any other businesses that are moving in, right? So the largest one was Farm and Fleet in the last couple of years. Did they have, like, was there a TIF approved for them? I mean, I guess my question is, does it impact us positively moving forward, or are they already baked in to that, that number?
Yeah, let me
Yeah,
double check
construction
and
number.
follow that up. I believe this year they would be now part of that. I don't believe there was a tip there, but I want to verify that just to be sure. Because I
And
know
would
that
that
there's one
impact us?
outstanding.
Would that impact us, the TIF, or just the city?
So the TIF would impact us in that we would not see the value of that on the tax base until I believe that loan is paid off. And then when the TIF closes out, we get the proceeds or anything remaining from that. For example, the one that closed out most recently, and we put that money to help support the band project that was about just under $1 million. If it is not in a TIF, the impact of the valuation should be on the tax roll this year.
Okay.
I'll double check with the city though and get back to you on that.
Okay.
Any other questions, discussion? Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Gifts, grants, and bequests.
Motion to approve with thanks the following donations. At Muskego High School, metal stock valued at $800 from Comet Welding for the metal fabrication and welding program. 3 hospital beds and 2 incubator warmers valued at approximately $50,000 from Greg Creek and Children's Wisconsin to enhance our health, science, and technical education programs.
So moved. Second.
Okay, any questions, discussion? Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to discussion items. I'm assuming we got nothing there, right? Okay. And then you have your information follow-up there, your personal information, ongoing communication, miscellaneous business authorized by law. Do not have anything there. We are going to vote for a closed session. We will only return to open session to adjourn. So we are going to vote for closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 sub 1 sub C for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of specific employees over which the board has jurisdiction, specifically salaries, and 19.85 sub 1 sub G, conferring with legal counsel for the governmental body who is rendering oral or written advice convening strategy to be adopted by the body with respect to litigation in which it is likely to become involved.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we just need a roll call vote to go into close.
Do you read them off? Or do I?
You.
Tracy?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Bob?
Yes.
Terry?
Yes.
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 Lori? Kevin?
Yes.
All right, we are in closed session.